Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar on Inside the Shift, Real AI Use Cases in Tech Writing. This is Sheba and I'll be your co-host for tonight. Now I'm delighted to introduce our speaker, Alina Desiatnikova, technical writer at Bolt. With 7 years of experience in SaaS, IaaS and Fintech, she creates clear user-focused documentation and helps teams communicate complex ideas simply and effectively. And today, she'll explore practical use cases of how AI is changing the field from accelerating writing workflows to adapting content for different audiences. She will also examine key challenges and the current limitations of AI tools for high impact tasks. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and we'll make sure to address them towards the end of the session. With that, I'll hand it over to Alina. The stage is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you, Shibha, for introducing me and having me here today. I'm really delighted to talk about AI and how it's actually shifting our workspace as technical writers. Let's begin. So thank you very much for presenting me. Pretty much you already shared the most important information about me. I will just mention that currently I'm working for a Fintech startup and I'm working as a solo technical writer. I write documentation, I maintain the help site, and I also support cross-team initiatives that basically happen really often in our environment. And I also would like to say that I believe that it's very important to talk about AI, about the use cases, about the challenges that we are facing, because obviously we can see that we are living through the shift, that the way how we write, how we edit, proofread documentation is changing. So yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity, and let's begin. The first use case will be like very obvious, but I guess let's start with this one. And it's about AI proofreading. And I would say AI proofreading with being cautious. In my workplace, we have an approved AI tool, the Gemini from Google, and basically how I use it in my day-to-day tasks. With the use of Gemini, I have updated and rewritten our custom technical writing style guide, where I explained explicitly how the tone, the grammar, and styling works for our documentation. So basically, for me, it's like very easy to proofread any type of documentation I'm working with, because my tool is already totally aware of the guide and the requirements that I'm looking for. And therefore, yeah, I can use this tool to proofread any kind of end user docs or developer documentation. However, I would like to mention that in my case, I have seen a lot of situations when, for example, I'm working with developer documentation and the AI tools are trying to get creative by basically updating parameter names or changing the enum values. That's not nice, and I believe that it's all the time very important to basically double check and ensure that your highly technical documentation is accurate, that basically your AI didn't rewrite some crucial and important things. Okay, now let's move on to the use case that I personally like a lot. It's about audience simulation. Basically, when we work as technical writers, we might be in a situation where we need to document tons of products and a lot of features. And I believe that everybody faced this situation when, for example, you as a technical writer might be missing some particular domain knowledge. So in this case, it's very helpful basically to run this kind of small utility tests, prompting like read my doc as a developer, or read my doc as an implementation manager, or read my doc as a system architect. I guess it's like very relevant to do so, because with a small prompt, you can actually find some clarity gaps, improve the flow, and overall get some good ideas on how to improve your current documentation. Because sometimes even when working with SME, you might like skip some particular details that actually might be very relevant for your audience. But I also would like to mention that that doesn't mean that you need to skip talking to your expert or skip the feedback loop before merging. It's like still important. It's just like a small utility test that helps you to be like more productive and more relevant. Moving on, I would like also to present a use case that is like very personal for me. As I mentioned, currently I work as a solo technical writer, and I don't have, unfortunately, a developer peer who would help me to support our documentation. At my company, we use docs as a code approach, and we host our documentation at GitHub. And for documentation, we use a static generator that is called Hugo. Hugo is like a very customizable platform, but it might need basically some deep development knowledge in order to change the style, to add some elements, to remove some elements. So in this particular case, for me, it's all the time helpful basically to use the AI tools to explore different technical solutions on how do I make a particular technical change on our docs platform. But I also would like to mention that I never merge like, you know, the first technical solution that I find. I all the time try to communicate with our engineering team to ensure that the solution that I find are relevant for our organization and basically match with principles that are used within the organization. Later on, if you will actually have some questions about particular tasks that I have been dealing with, feel free to post them in the question section. We'll be happy to talk more about that. And basically, another important use case is, I called it like beyond the docs, AI in cross-functional work. As I mentioned, I work in a startup, and in startup, we all the time face this kind of challenge that we need to go beyond our role. And as a technical writer, I have been participating in various projects, supporting my colleagues writing various types of documents, including system requirements. For example, once I have been invited to participate in the project that was aiming to update one of our customer-facing interfaces. So basically there I needed to perform not only as a technical writer, though as a product manager, as a system architect, as a designer at some point. And with the use of AI, I was able to write system requirements. I was able to create the UI mockups in Figma. I had previous experience working in Figma. Anyway, in order to speed up the work, definitely I used ChatGPT, I used Gemini, and it really helped me to basically bring the input to our product and designers in order to proceed working, in order to speed up this project. And also it's important to understand that sometimes we might have like very high expectations on how we are going to use AI in our day-to-day projects. But in my case, I had this situation that we also had like, you know, a lot of expectation that, okay, we will complete a lot of tasks using AI, though it didn't work really well. For example, I was working on a project that was aiming to basically polish and update our documentation. And we had an idea that would be great to find a solution that will basically crawl through the existing documentation in order to find the 404 broken URLs. And the idea was like, okay, we have a company approved AI tool, Gemini. and we are going just to use it, and we will find all broken URLs. But actually, working on this project, I faced a real limitation that it didn't work for me. Basically, the output was that this is a high impact task, and that basically AI tool didn't want to work on this task. And in some sense, I understand it, because basically when we are using cloud-based AI tools for real, there are some tasks that are taking too much of like server capacity for being performed. Though I found another way on how to complete this task. Basically, again, using AI tools, I prompted for a script that I ran on my local machine, and I was able to get the list with these broken 404 links. Though I want to say that definitely took me more time than I expected. But anyway, I was able to achieve the goal. Maybe not that beautifully that I expected, but anyway, I got the result. Another example, I have been working with like research project, and the idea was to run some docs audit, and basically to create some file that will present a documentation matrix showing the documentation structure, substructure, and the final articles with the URLs, like the whole documentation tree. And turned out that basically I got the file, I got the report, but somehow it was missing a lot of subsections. The URL, some of the URLs were broken, and basically that was not exactly the output that I was expecting to get. And there was another example when I wanted to auto-generate a report that basically will compare the documentation I'm working with another industry experts. And the idea was to identify basically what works well, what doesn't work well, which kind of gaps and improvement areas we have. And there basically I faced the situation that my AI tool started hallucinating, and basically it generated a report, but about documentation from another company, not the one that I'm working for. For me, it was a bit weird, because basically when I was creating this prompt, I stated explicitly what I want and which kind of documentation I'm analyzing. And as I mentioned, I have already fed our company approved AI tool a lot of information about the company I'm working at. So that was a bit weird. But I guess that's in some sense normal, because the AI tools are also evolving. Basically, they are still learning. So yes, we can still see this kind of like weird behavior that, yes, it's analyzing something, so the output is scattered, or it's missing some important details, and we basically need to put a lot of time and effort to fix all of these issues. As one of my friends who happened to work as a product owner says that we are living through this interesting time when on one hand, AI tools, they are supposed to offer a lot of automation and are supposed to ease our work. But on the other hand, we are finding ourselves in this situation that we need to spend a lot of time investigating how basically to communicate with AI tool, how to prompt correctly, or how to debug the results that basically we are auto-generating. And basically that leads me to the, like some sort of summary of what I have learned. And from my work experience, I can see that AI tools are very powerful, but they're not like about magic. It's still important to know the content and audience, because, for example, if we are talking about auto-generating documentation, then we still need to be sure that the output we are getting is actually what our audience needs. and that it's actually talking about our product, not auto-generating something about product from some other company. It's still important to develop our domain and product knowledge. And I also would like to say that we as technical writers are still important. We are not being replaced. We are just being given a tool that is powerful, that can help us to optimize our workflows, but we still have our voice and we still matter, because basically, as I already mentioned earlier, it's still important to understand and to control the processes, to control the outputs, and to ensure that you are getting what you were looking forward. Though it's still important and it's still interesting to keep experimenting, to keep learning. Though I also want to share one observation that basically I'm seeing after working with AI, that right now we can see that there are a lot of AI companies that are selling us different AI tools that are great for different tasks, different purposes, even though right now we don't have, this kind of super powerful tool that does it all, because again, probably everybody faced this situation when you were trying to generate some images and they had issues with the fingers, or something was not right. Or for example, I have been trying to generate some particular graphs for some documentation, and basically the output was not nice. And I got the thought that, okay, maybe I can use another AI tool to generate these graphs and they will look much better. But since I'm working for a company, I only have one AI license. I don't have licenses from different companies that provide AI tools. And the situation here is that from company standpoint, unfortunately, economically, it's difficult to provide all employees with like 20 different licenses. So definitely there are some limitations that we need to think how to work with. And it's still important basically to be working as technical writer, to contribute and to keep experimenting. Pretty much I went through all of my slides.
Thank you, Alina. And that's a wrap for today's session. Thanks a lot, Alina, for walking us through the topic. I hope the insights shared tonight gave everyone a clear understanding of how AI can be responsibly and effectively integrated into technical documentation workflows to improve speed, quality, and scalability. To everyone who tuned in, thank you for taking your time to be here and for all your great questions and comments. And of course, if you have more questions or want to learn more about Document360, then feel free to reach out to us. We'll be back soon with another session. Until then, see you next time. Thank you, Alina.